Oh,
Hi,
there
credit
we
union
go.
friends. Welcome to the BD Now channel. On this episode, we have with us Joan Pugh. She is with First Financial Federal Credit Union in Maryland, and she is the Relationship Marketing Manager. Hi, Joan.
Hi, Julie. So glad to talk to you.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here with us today. We're going to be talking about impact reports. But first, Joan, can you share a little bit about your role with First Financial?
I would love to because I'm always excited to give my elevator pitch. First Financial Federal Credit Union was started 71 years ago in 1953 when Matthew Tress, who was a Baltimore County school teacher, put $5 in a cigar box, and that's how we were born. So in 71 years, we've moved from one person to 68,000 members, $5 to $1.4 billion in assets. We're the fifth largest credit union in the state of Maryland. But the school system that I serve, Baltimore County Public Schools, is still our heart. A full 32% of our membership are what we call Team BCPS. So it's staff and their families, students and their families. It's an extremely large system, 22nd largest school system in the United States, 111,000 students, almost 21,000 staff members. So we're so pleased to be their exclusive credit union, and we were actually honored to be named their business partner of 24-25 for next year. So we love our school system.
Oh, congratulations on that. Such a great group. And Joan, I use you as an example a lot when I talk with BD people, even branch managers, because you are team BCPS. I mean, I watch
Love
your
it.
LinkedIn feed, so everybody make sure to watch, connect with Joan on LinkedIn. She is one of them. She is considered one of them. I've been out to the schools with her. And there's not a person that walks by, Joan, that doesn't know you.
Well, we love them. And so what's wonderful is they've allowed us to get to know them. And we can better serve our members when we get to know what their needs are. And people think, okay, it's a school system that's pretty monolithic. That's the exact opposite of what it is. So school systems are set up with all kinds of different roles. So you have teachers, and then you have administrators, and you have transportation workers, food service workers, building service workers, folks who work in grounds. And all these groups are working towards the same goal, which is the best education we can provide our students, but with different experiences, different needs. So when we learn about them, when we get to know them, then we can better serve them.
I love the language you're using. Serving, you're learning, you're listening. It's fantastic.
Well, we're just so honored to be given that opportunity. And you're right, I do love my BCPSers, and I want to represent as much as I can. And it's just makes the job fun. But I think it also highlights the meaningful work that we do in the credit union industry. We're not just coming in here at 9 to 5. We're actually changing people's lives. And when people know that you care and that you want to make their life better, then they are more receptive to your partnering with them. So that's wonderful.
That's great because you have opened a lot of doors. So let's talk about, I know one of the tools that you use to share the impact that you're making within the school system are impact reports. And the first time I really thought about an impact report was Kari Kraut. She's with Cultivate. She's also a former first techer. And she was in HR, and she brought up a point, and she said, and it just made me stop in my tracks, is that all employee wellness benefit providers, they all provide reports back to HR, the HR teams, about the value. So you might have an EAP program. They're providing information back. Here's the impact we're making. And here's all the ways that we are touching and helping your employees. Retirement services. You go through the list of all of them. And I thought, credit unions, are we doing that? And so that's kind of where impact reports first kind of came on the scene to me. I might share some basic numbers, but I certainly wasn't making it into a pretty, um, piece of marketing or information full of data that could be shared. So can you talk a little bit about your impact report, and what that journey's been like for you with the school system?
Absolutely. So we echo exactly what you're saying. We know that we're bringing great value. We know that we're touching lots of touch points in the system, helping in a lot of different ways, but we needed a way to bring it all together because people had their own experience with the credit union, either personally or professionally, but they didn't know all the things that we were doing. So we decided we were going to gather that data. Data is powerful. We definitely want to share that in partnership with relationship. We need to show that we're making a difference. And then we also want to have in one place resources, not only just to uplift what we're doing, but to plant some seeds for some of our leaders to say, oh, the credit union has what we would call money talks. We go into classrooms and we talk to students about financial wellness. That might plant a seed for somebody to say, you know, my folks in food services could really use that information. Maybe I could talk to Joan, a member of the credit union, about providing that. Or they say, there's a scholarship program. Well, I kind of heard that there was a scholarship program at the credit union, but I didn't know they gave away $151,000 in scholarship money and served every single school in our system. So it was important to share that information, not only who we are, but how we're serving the system. And we do have impact reports that are more generic because, you know, we serve about 170 groups. BCPS is not the only group that we serve. It just happens to be the largest group that we serve. So our largest groups, we tailored our impact reports to that demographic, which I think was extremely powerful. And then a more generic we put out there. The other thing that I really love in our impact reports is that we went to a valued partner in the system and asked them for a testimonial. So we've had three of those now in the 3 years that we've done these reports. One was a administrator in what we call CTE, which is career and tech development. Last year was a director of leadership development, and Dr. Liz Berquist was great. Mavita Parham was before her. And then this last year, Dr. Jess Grimm, who's the head of operations, who we have a fantastic partnership, volunteered to frankly share his information, his name, and his credibility. And that sort of partnership just, to me, it just warms our heart, warms my heart, because it really, leadership knows what we're doing, right? And so that's really important to me, not just to serve everybody, but then to have decision makers understand the value of the credit union to their organization.
You're so right, because sometimes you work just in one silo or different silos. And so to share that information, especially out with a larger group like that, but even for smaller groups. So within the impact report, do you include how many members have joined, loans? Are you getting down to that level?
We are, yes. So it's important to really get those demographics because letting decision makers know how many of their employees are being served by the credit union is helpful. So as I mentioned before, we tailor impact reports for some of our groups. Certainly we have the information if someone would come to us to say how many of my employees are using the credit union, but that's not necessarily in each impact report. It's more generalized than that. But it does put something in hand to show that this is not just a vendor. This really bothers me when people call us a vendor. We are not a vendor. We're a partner, right? And to show the value of that partnership.
Can you give an example, Joan, of an opportunity that's been created or that's come out of the impact report and sharing that?
So specifically within the system, we use that impact report, not just with the group that exists, but also as a marketing tool, as a business development tool. So when we're going out and we're recruiting another and talking to other potential SEGs, we take that report to say, this is what we're doing for our existing SEGs. We would like to partner with you as well. Each year, we have been growing our services specifically to Baltimore County. So I'll give you an example. And I don't know that this is particular to the impact report. It might be more general information. But when they get the impact report and they read it, if I'm in a conversation with someone, especially a decision maker, I'm listening to hear what problems they have. What's a problem that they have that maybe we can help them with? So, as an example, last year, Dr. Liz Berquist didn't have a place to have some of her professional development training. We have an absolutely beautiful building with an
You
absolutely
do.
beautiful public space. So, hello, we put the two together, and our groups are now coming to us as we're able, which is incredible because we're really problem solving for our group, right? Because we've listened to our group and we know what their problem is, and we just happen to have a solution putting those two together. So I can't make the exact correlation between the actual impact report and that situation, but making folks aware of some of the things that we do, again, it's a seed planting operation.
Yeah, that's great. I think we do need to spread the word more about all of the different things that we have available. The space, that's brilliant. And I love that you're talking about problem solving. We just launched episode 8, and there's a story in there that's a lesson I learned early is the more you can solve problems and listen and find out what the needs are. And that's not even a need, Joan. I mean, you think about giving them a space for their meeting. It's not a financial need, but wow, all those people are coming in and they're seeing your beautiful brand and getting to know the people and sharing the impact reports with others. I mean, that's such a tool. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't like this in our world, but everyone's like, who else is doing it? Right. And so you have a couple key names and they're like, oh, they must be okay. But it's how you build some credibility by
Right.
utilizing that and sharing that. So I love that you guys are using that as really a prospect tool to build new relationships and really differentiate yourself by sharing that value.
And I would thank our leadership team. So when our leadership team moved us here to our new space, that room was built purposefully for in a way that you could host um, non-employees in the building, with some parameters. And so I think that's foresight to say, how can we not only serve our own staff, but serve our groups as well? I mean, BCPS is not the only one using that space. We have other groups using it as well, and we're using it too. It's awesome. It's really great.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do love though about your impact report is that it's pretty. It's nice looking, right? I mean,
I know I
but that's
diverged from our
important.
impact report.
Just to
Sorry.
say or send an email with that stuff, that's not good enough. We need to really share, digital print, like, whatever way that group wants to receive the information. But it's a pretty powerful looking piece, isn't it?
It is. So we worked with Giraffe, is one of our groups who we
Yeah.
greatly
We
appreciate.
love we love Kelly and
Love
team.
Giraffe, exactly. And getting people, I think, see that uh, getting that all to look quote unquote the same is a lot of work, but it's so worth it because people get to recognize that. So when I send out a monthly flyer, um, believe it or not, paper, because people in the cafeteria are going to take that piece of paper and they're going to put it on their bulletin board.
Know your
Again, knowing the
audience.
group, right? Knowing what's going to happen. Um, I actually sent out a plastic sleeve for our for them to put the flyer in, but they know that template because it's pretty and it looks great. And another thing on our impact reports, which I think is really important, is to put our contact information and our face, a picture of us, so that when we're out and about, can't tell you the number of times I'm in the grocery store and somebody says, I think I know you. And I said, I'll bet it's because I'm on your flyer that's on your, on your bulletin
Yeah.
board in your workspace.
Who do you share it with? Everybody?
Everybody. So I just did my mailing. I sent out over 300 impact reports. Everybody from the superintendent of the school system to the Board of Education members. The Board of Education makes a lot of decisions. Do they know who we are? Do they know what we do? They're not in benefits. Maybe we need to share some information with them. All the way down to every single principal in our almost 200 schools. So everybody, everybody, everybody.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you, Joan, for sharing valuable information. I often talk about, we're doing all of these great things, but how are we closing that loop? How are we sharing those stories? And so finding ways to share those stories, use the data, bring in the information, is so powerful. So as you know, we end with a social spotlight. So who do you follow that inspires you, Joan?
So this is funny, but there's a comedian named Drew Talbert, and he's a server. And so he was a server. He and his wife have developed this site, and it's acting out restaurant. And so the servers and the cooks, and I just get so much delight out of it. It's nice to sort of take a minute from that social media where we're always gathering information. I'm always watching BCPS. They're very communicative on social media, but just to take that kind of fun and listen to it. And he's very talented. I really enjoy listening to him and
Yeah.
watching him.
You know, um, yeah, I think things should be fun. I agree. And I was just, again, episode 8 just dropped as we're recording this, and Denise Weimer was my guest, and she posted that and she quoted Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Do you know Ben and Jerry's ice cream?
Yes,
But one of their, I think I'll try to remember, but if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And so I think making ourselves laugh and finding those outlets are so important. Well,
absolutely.
thank you, Joan, for joining us.
Thank you. What a great opportunity.
Keep doing great work, and we'll see you next time, everyone.